Allow me, if you would, to just elaborate a little bit on the short video that I recorded yesterday, in which I discussed how the use of the phrase free speech doesn't apply all the time. After all, it doesn't apply to yelling fire in a crowded theater. How that is essentially a ruse and a con and a rhetorical scam job. And ultimately what it reveals, if you come across someone who pulls out the fire in a crowded theater line, you know that that person is not operating with intellectual honesty. You further know that that person wants to make sure that they can get you shut up. They can use the powers that be to shut you up. Now, why do I say that so confidently? I say that so confidently because this very idea, this line, this scenario that's given of shouting fire in a crowded theater, which I know it was said sometime back in the day, I think in the 19th century or something. I don't respect the person who said it enough to research and find out who it was who said it, because I just feel that the person who said it is probably not someone that I would like, because the metaphor that he used is so given to mischief. In fact, there's no way that it can be used in any other way except a disingenuous manner. Let me try to explain what I mean. How can using your right to free speech to say something controversial, how can that be compared to shouting fire in a crowded theater? Well, it can actually be compared in many ways, because if you say something, if you make use of your right to freedom of speech and you say something that is controversial, then what are you metaphorically doing? You're causing, it could be argued, you're causing people to panic, right? Because they don't want to hear what you're saying. You're causing people to be agitated because you're speaking an uncomfortable truth. Truth is often something that people don't want to hear, and it often makes people uncomfortable. So in that sense, I don't know how you could possibly have possibly have invented a more scurrilous metaphor to discuss freedom of speech than this one. And I don't know how it can be used in any way that isn't scurrilous. Also, it's a little bit misleading, because yelling fire in a crowded theater is only an irresponsible thing to do if there isn't fire in a crowded theater. What if there is fire? Then you should let people know that there's fire in a crowded theater so that they can escape from the fire. So this is already kind of in its way saying that the person who shouts fire in a crowded theater, it almost is saying it doesn't even matter whether it's true or false. It's just that there's something about alarming people or agitating people or causing people, to maybe behave in a way that will be detrimental, because, people will trample over other people trying to get out of the crowded theater that's on fire. Now, when I hear people talk about the Alex Jones case, yes, it pisses me the hell off. Not because I'm a particular fan of Alex Jones. I think he's a buffoon. So I'm not protecting him. But I think the whole notion that, oh, well, he said these things and it made people do irresponsible things that hurt a lot of people, it hurt these grieving parents. So indirectly, Alex Jones is responsible for hurting these grieving parents for the things, because he advocated what he advocated. Again, as I've said before, either there's free speech or there isn't. Either you get to differ from what they tell you on the television happened during a given alleged event, or you just have to parrot what the TV tells you. Or the other choice that I was given in my exchange with Catherine Lee, or default friend, was, there are some things he could have said that would have been okay. That would have, if he had said, I'm not going to get into any specifics. I really don't want to bring up the case itself, because if ever there was a briar patch, that is it. But what Catherine D essentially told me was, it would have been not so bad if Alex Jones had said X, which differs from Y being the official story. If he had said X, if he had said X in contradistinction to the official story, then that wouldn't have been so bad. But instead of saying X, he said A. And saying A in response to the official story was so out of bounds. And to be fair, I don't know whether default friend Catherine D was saying that he deserved to get sued for hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $1 billion. I don't know what her position on that is or not, but her position was that he, quote, fucked up by saying what he said. And I want to know, does freedom of speech exist, or does it not exist? And again, I return to that same scurrilous metaphor said by some surely very dishonest man who had an agenda to shut people up. That's what I am so confident, because the metaphor is so offensive to me, and its implications are can only be applied in a way that essentially says that freedom of speech is limited. That freedom of speech, and I'm not talking about libel, I'm not talking about slander. We all know that those things are not kosher. Those don't fall under the rubric of freedom of speech. But saying something, but stating an unpopular opinion, like Alex Jones or Kanye West or Andy Nowicki, or anybody else, it can always be metaphorically compared to shouting fire in a crowded theater. And that's what they said about Jones, right? That he was irresponsible. His rhetoric was irresponsible. Not really. Not really. He just proposed a take on events that was different from what they were telling us on television. But because it could be said to have had the metaphorical effect of something similar to what shouting fire in a crowded theater would have. Maybe there was a fire. Maybe there was a fire and he was alerting us to it. But that doesn't seem to matter, does it? That doesn't seem to matter to the person who came up with this phrase. It doesn't seem to matter to the people who claim to be in favor of freedom of speech, but who say, but that doesn't apply here because Alex Jones just said something that was so bad, and he lied. They say he lied. How can you lie about something that you don't have any knowledge about? You can lie if you were there and you saw something happen or not happen, and you choose to tell an account of events that is not in accord with what you know to be the truth. Alex Jones wasn't there. He did not lie. He could not be said to lie. People say things like, "Oh, well, he profited from it. You know, he got people to give him money because this was what his unhinged audience wanted to hear him say. So he cynically exploited this case." Even if that is true, and that's a big even if, it still doesn't have, it's still completely non-germane to the point. And its lack of being germane is just like, or very similar to, at least analogous to, this scurrilous metaphor of shouting fire in a crowded theater. So, you know what? I'm gonna openly say, I will shout fire in a crowded theater, metaphorically speaking, because anytime you say something that people don't want to hear, but which is true, it's going to cause panic. It's going to cause alarm. Some people might get metaphorically trampled. You know, it might happen. Some people might get destroyed. Their feelings might not only just be a question of their feelings getting hurt. They might just not be able to take it because they, in the words of that famous movie, can't handle the truth. So, this is my expansion of what I mentioned yesterday about this metaphor that some creep, some person that I hate, even though I don't know who he is or was, but I do know that he was up to no good, rhetorically or otherwise. This metaphor of shouting fire in a crowded theater. Am I wrong? Tell me below. Thanks for watching.